Welcome to the channel, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to be discussing why you probably don't need the new Trijicon RMR-HD. Now, before we get into the video, what is my relationship with Trijicon? I know reps there. I work in the gun industry. I work for Cabot Guns and Alchemy Custom Weaponry. We're low volume manufacturers of high-end custom and semi-custom 1911s and 2011s, double stack 1911s, Starry Staccato. Right here, this is a Cabot Insurrection, which is our double stack 1911 and 9mm. And on top of it, I have a Trijicon RMR-HD. And this is something that we purchased as Cabot for fitment testing and for photography and whatnot. So I personally didn't purchase this optic, but we did as Cabot. Now, before I talk about why I don't think you need the Trijicon RMR-HD, I want to make it very clear that I think this is the best red dot that not only Trijicon has ever produced, but that any pistol red dot manufacturer has produced. I absolutely love this dot. The shape of it, the looks, I just think it is a very attractive dot. The window size, so it is a larger version of the RMR, so the RMR HD. I don't know why it's high definition instead of just like a larger version, so that's some marketing choices there, but it is a larger version of the original RMR, and it has been improved in every way. Kind of think of it as the RMR and the SRO, kissed and made a baby. That's where you have the RMR HD plus a few different features. So it has the ruggedness of the RMR with this U-shaped housing up here, which is meant to disperse energy. So if the gun is dropped onto this red dot or it's hit in a holster, it will not shatter the glass. The SRO is not super durable. However, I can tell you I carry SROs quite regularly EDC, and I have for years, and I have never broken a window on them. But a lot of people in duty situations are concerned about that, so they'll get like the bros little cover for it to make sure that that window doesn't break. So the Trijicon RMR HD has that large window without the fear of breakage. It also has a multi-style reticle, meaning it's a red dot or a red dot with the donut of death reticle around it. I think it's like a 30 MOA circle that goes around it. On top of the housing, I really like this feature. They've added a ridge, a raised ridge that goes down the center of the housing. And this is one of the reasons that I really like the original RMR, is because if for some reason your window were shattered and you could not even see through the glass to use backup irons, this ridge here actually acts as sort of an aiming solution. So I've taken Aaron Cowan's red dot pistol instructor course, and what he taught, and this does work, is you can take the two little wings here of the RMR, the original RMR, and kind of go on the collarbone of your target. And if you do that, you will get a nice center mass hit under a stressful situation. That's better than just, hoping and praying and point shooting without any type of sights on top. What Aaron would typically do is do a white line down the center of the RMRs in order to create some type of an aiming point as a backup. It looks like Trijicon heard that and put this raised part on the top here as a backup aiming solution. So fantastic little addition there. It also has auto brightness. So there is a photovolic, some kind of light sensor up front that is taking light coming into the shooter's eyes. And it does auto adjust the brightness on the red dot in order to not blow up too much at night, but also not be too dim during the day. So that is a nice feature as well. And unlike the original RMR Type 2, it has a top-loading battery tray, which means you don't have to dismount and re-zero your RMR each time you switch the batteries. However, I will tell you, I have unmounted RMRs many times, and I have found negligible, if any, re-zeroing is required after changing the batteries. So I don't know if that really is a problem. I still want to confirm every time I remount a red dot, but I've never had to make more than maybe 1 or 2 clicks adjustment after changing batteries. But it is nice to have that top loading battery as you swap them out as you may. And overall though, this red dot, like I said, is just the most attractive red dot I think I've ever seen on top of a pistol. Now, on top of the Insurrection here, this is a tri-top pistol, so it's very angular. The angular look of this red dot does match. If you were having more of a traditional style gun, like an Alchemy that's a round top, I don't think it looks as good. And as of right now, you may have some trouble fitting the RMR-HD onto an Alchemy pistol. Talk about that in just a second. Future Nick here. I was editing this video and I realized that I never got back to the topic of fitment issues with the RMR-HD. So I'm going to give you a very quick overview before we get back into the original recording of the video. So here I have the Insurrection with the RMR-HD installed on it. One of the things that we found with the RMR-HDs is that there is some variance in the dimensions on them from front to back versus the Trijicon actual footprint print. So the RMR-HD has been up to 25 thousandths bigger than the actual footprint itself, just due to variances in manufacturing. So that means that on really sunk down mounting solutions like the Cabot solution that is very, very tightly toleranced, it may or may not fit if that dot, that specific dot that you get, is on the upper end of the dimensions front to back. So what does that mean? Well, that means that the red dots are not produced very specifically in dimensions as far as critical dimensions exterior. This happened with the SRO when we first had the SRO come out. Sometimes they would fit on the Alchemies, sometimes they wouldn't in the beginning. As the manufacturing ramped up, they did get more and more consistent, and we do not have fitment issues with Alchemies and SROs. Now, I know I'm saying Alchemy. I'm talking about any type of a pistol that has a round top, so probably a 1911. Here you can see an SRO, just how close the SRO is to the round top of the slide. When we mill out the red dots on Alchemies and Cabots, we give a 10 thousandths clearance for that red dot to be a little bit oversized or undersized. We don't want too big of a gap so that it just looks bad and you can see light through it, but the cut is actually slightly radiused in the front. So we just have to be careful on that. So all that to say that the RMR-HD, you are going to have to confirm fitment first. We have seen some fit on really tight, low mounted mounting solutions and others that have had to have a little bit of filing done on the dot itself in order to fit. The other thing to consider is that this hood on the RMR-HD is a little bit lower than the SRO. So just because an SRO will fit doesn't mean the RMR-HD will fit. So that's a lot to say, a lot of words just to say that you may or may not have fitment issues on the RMR-HD versus the SRO that may make it a little bit more complicated of a purchase decision. All right, back to the rest of the video. You might be sitting there going, wow, Nick absolutely loves this red dot. He says it's his favorite. There is nothing negative he has talked about it at all. Why would he say that it's not for me? Well, there's a few different reasons, and I'm going to start off with the number one, and that is the price of this red dot. So when it was introduced, I believe the minimum advertised price on this dot was about $660, which is pretty high, but it's in line or close to in line with the SRO, but it's a couple $100 more than the RMR Type 2. Very quickly, they raised the minimum advertised price on these to $774, which is very steep for a pistol-mounted red dot. So yes, I think it's the best dot out there for a lot of different reasons, but that price, there are other options available for right around 2/3 that price still in the Trijicon realm. The next is the features. So the features that are on here, specifically the auto brightness and the donut of death reticle, I do not use a donut reticle on pistol red dots ever. So if I have a dot that has that on it, I always turn it off because it is unbelievably distracting to me. That donut of death is typically something that you'll see on something like an EOTech red dot, and that has some ranging features and distance shooting features built into it. That's why you have that larger reticle on some rifle dots. On a pistol dot, I find that to be completely superfluous, so I actually have turned it off. And speaking of other features that I turn off, the auto brightness feature is a feature that I turn off. If there's a dot that has it on it, I turn it off. Well, let me take that back. I don't have any other red dots that have it on it, except for I have a Hollow Sun 509T on my B&T APC 9K. And I believe that has auto brightness, but I actually turn that off because I want to set it and forget it. And I will change the brightness settings for daytime or for nighttime. And anytime I've had auto brightness on other red dots, I just don't trust it. I want to set my brightness and have it be exactly where I want it to be when I want to use that gun. So two of the main features on this red dot I don't even use, and I believe most people won't use them to their full potential. Now, the last thing talking about is the window size. The window size is good. It's not as good as the SRO, and the shape of the window does not lend itself to having the dot in it quite as much as the SRO. And I'll tell you that compared to the RMR Type 2, it is not so significantly larger that I feel like I'm making a giant step up. When you go from the RMR Type 2 to the SRO, it is night and day. From the RMR to the RMR-HD, it is not that much of a step up to make a huge jump for me in usability. So the price, the fact that the donut of death I don't use, and the window size aren't a big deal to me, and the fact that I don't use auto brightness, if you aren't going to use any of those features, then that price really isn't justified. Now, if you are a user that absolutely has to have the latest and greatest and coolest looking shit, I'm right there with you. This is the latest and greatest. It is the best. It is the coolest. Go right out there and get it. But if you're looking at that price going, I don't know if I can justify that price, you probably can't. And if you need the ruggedness, the RMR Type 2 is still a fantastic dot. I believe it is still the king of the pistol red dots, in my opinion. So the RMR Type 2, in 99% of cases, will do everything you need it to do. It's just going to be about 2/3 the price of the RMR-HD. But like I said, this is my favorite. This is badass. This is the coolest looking one. But if it's my money, I'm going with the RMR Type 2 or the SRO. There you go.